All righty, we are live. Welcome back to the Fast Break podcast here on the Variety Sports Network. I'm your host, Shoot to Rock, and probably gonna be a little bit of a quicker episode, a little bit shorter episode today. I got a men's league basketball game, got some hoops of my own to play. It's 7:30 here, so that's in a little bit over an hour. So plus, just not as much going on in college hoops this week, but don't trust me, don't get me wrong. There's always stuff going on. I mean, Tuesday was one of the craziest slates of non-conference hoops that I've seen in a while. A lot of ranked matchups. That's definitely where we're going to start today. But then, Wednesday. Actually, today, Thursday, is there's a big game going on. Purdue in Alabama. Purdue's actually up on Alabama right now. So I got that one on here on Fubo TV. Apparently, I just got this tweet before it. I'm the face of Fubo TV advocates, and I got the multi-view. Everyone says, "Oh, got to go YouTube TV because the multi-view." Well, get the Roku Ultra. Maybe I'll have to be the face of the Roku Ultra too. You get the Roku Ultra, you can do multi-view. So I got Purdue, Alabama, West Virginia, Pitt on right next to me here. Those are some pretty good games tonight. So rare that on a Thursday we actually have some good games. Usually that's one of the slower days, so that's why I've kind of picked Thursdays here to do the show. It's a more football dominated day, but here we are. So let's get into it. Let's start with some of those games that I'm mentioning. The first one, Louisville takes down Kentucky 96-88. And this one you could just sense the just years of frustration last couple of years from these Louisville fans, how Kentucky's just kind of dominated this rivalry, especially, in the Kenny Payne era that keeps getting brought up. He hasn't been the coach for now a couple of years, but that's just how bad Louisville basketball was when he was at the helm. But they kind of avenged some of those games. Like I said, they take down Kentucky at home 96-88. The KFC Yum Center was rocking, and this was a very much the breakout game for Michael Brown Jr. Like I said, a lot of the freshmen, that have been getting the headlines. AJ DeBansta, Cam Boozer, Darren Peterson of Kansas. Then, you throw in like Caleb Wilson had a really good game against Kentucky, or I'm sorry, not against Kansas last Friday. Nico Zavdalis, is a guy people were talking about for Vatek. There's one other one I'm free. Oh, Koa Pete. I kept raving about him on the show last week. Well, Michael Brown is another one of these loaded freshmen. This might be the most loaded college basketball class that we have seen in a long time, which is kind of just crazy considering, guys like Con Knipple, Cooper Flag. I guess last year, a lot of them just kind of were at Duke. Now it's like I said, that's 7 guys I mentioned, all on 7 different teams. Granted, I don't know, maybe if Dallas isn't in that same caliber category as these other guys, like those other 6 guys I mentioned, I think should be lottery picks. And yeah, it was a breakout game for him. 29 points on 18 of 16 shooting, including 5 assists. Like, he just did a good job, attacking the rack, like getting his. And then I was also really impressed with Ryan Conwell. His backcourt running mate had 24 as well. Conwell did it more from beyond the arc, going 4 of 10 from 3, had 2 assists as well. And just Kentucky, in all honesty, just did not have an answer for those two. Just Louisville's just ball movement, just how they're swinging the ball around, getting good shots, getting good looks. It was very impressive. And then, even when they didn't, maybe get a make on those good looks, I felt like they did a really good job with offensive rebounding. And, they definitely, like, the home crowd, like, you could tell they're feeding off it. At times it got to Kentucky. Kentucky, I'll give them credit, did do a good job to make this one a close game, as you're seeing an 8-point game. At one point in the second half, this was like a 20-point game. Like, this game was not close. So Kentucky did do a good job battling back. For Kentucky, Denzel Aberdeen was the most impressive guy. He scored 26 points. Granted, did take 20 shots, but 4 of 10 from beyond the arc. Also had 7 rebounds and 3 assists. Really not a great night from Otega Oweh. He had 12 points on 13 shots, and that's like a guy where in a game like this for Kentucky, you need him to have a big game, and he just did not at all. Colin Chandler got a cool 12 points, 4-6 shooting. He's definitely their kind of sharpshooter, but he's not their go-to scorer. So, if you can get 12 from him, you'll take that. Like I said, I'm 4 of 6 from 3. So it was just one of those, Kentucky, they played fine. They played well. Just kind of looking at, the different stats here, the rebounding's pretty close. I forget. No, it was the Illinois game. Kentucky did turn the ball over more, though. 14 turnovers to Louisville's only 6 turnovers as a team. So I would say like Louisville might be my favorite in the ACC now after this game. I know before the season I picked Duke, but I don't know, man. This Cardinals team looked very impressive. And like this is a very big test. It was surprisingly like the earliest these two teams ever played in the season. I guess it is, just week 2 here. But I don't know. I loved getting a game like that early. So big props to Louisville on winning that one. I'm just gonna go through the team stats here, see if there's anything else really that I missed. No, like points in the paint. Yeah, it was points total, points off turnover. Yeah, I guess Louisville had 19 points off turnovers to Kentucky's 10. I think I'm thinking of the Illinois game where that spread was like pretty massive. But yeah, good win for Louisville. They knock off their in-state rivals. Like I said, you could tell like this. There's a lot of discussion. Like, what's the best rivalry in college basketball? And I was listening to like Field of 68 on Tuesday night. They were kind of talking about this. Definitely, check all those guys out over there. Like that's the best like media company in the college basketball game right now. They do pretty much nightly like shows where they're like close to an hour, and then they have like all sorts of other podcasts. So definitely check it out. And they're like talking about like Carolina Duke is like perceived as the best rivalry in college basketball. And I would have to agree. Obviously, a little biased here as a Duke fan, but with that rivalry, there's like a pageantry too about it. Like at the end of the day, the two teams like still respect each other. These two fan bases like hate each other and borderline like not good. Like there is no respect at all. Like I would say this is the most intense rivalry. That's what they were saying. And I think that is, something that is a downside of a lot of, granted, these two teams have never been in the same conference. And that's the thing too with Carolina Duke, which maybe gives them a little bit of an advantage, is like that is a conference game where like conference titles are on the line. They're playing at least 2 times, maybe even 3 times a year, like last year in the ACC title game or a couple years ago when they met in the Final Four, where like this too, which I don't know, maybe adds to it a little bit. Like I said, there's not really anything on the line other than like state pride and bragging rights. It's just the one game. But yeah, like there is just like no love lost at all. Like these two teams do not like each other. The fan base do not like each other. Like I said, I even think back to a couple of years ago when they played in the TBT, like it's literally the basketball tournament. But it's like an alumni basketball tournament that goes on like in the summers. Like I went to the championship game back in Chicago in like 2019. Like it's high quality ball. It's a lot of, like I said, it's a lot of these like alumni teams of former players at the schools. And like the Kentucky and Louisville like alumni teams like played in I want to say it was like the quarterfinals. And like even in that game, there was like almost fights in the stand just because of like the divide between these two fan bases. Said I don't live in Kentucky, so I can't like touch on it as much. Like I don't know, it's kind of obviously way more intense, but I kind of equate it to like Cubs Sox, like living here in Illinois. Like there's kind of a certain type of people that are Cubs fans and a certain type of people that are Sox fans. And I think it's kind of a little bit of that with this. Like I said, I don't live there, so I don't know for sure. And I think that's what it is. So honestly, like this is probably the most intense rivalry we have going. Obviously, Carolina Duke's gonna be up there. A lot of these rivalries, sadly, because they're not in the same conference anymore, you do lose them. Another one that I'm a fan of, like Pitt and West Virginia playing here tonight, even though they haven't been in the same conference in over a decade either. Like they still play yearly, is pretty cool. So, rivalries like this are great for college basketball, and this game was great on Tuesday night. I'm really glad they played it. So yeah, but let's move on to some of these other really good games Tuesday. Another good one. This was probably the other like big notable one of the night that I was tuned into the most. Illinois takes down Texas Tech at home, 81-77. And that's another thing too. I like that all these games are like on campus on Tuesday night. Excuse me. Killian Boswell was the leader for the Illini in this one with 22 points. He impressed me the most. 5 of 10 shooting, 3 of 5 from beyond the arc, got to the rim, 9 of 12 at the line. He did have a very like questionable flagrant foul. I don't know how the refs like called that a foul, and they're just like trying to like foul to give to like get Texas Tech, like take some time off the clock. And also he drew the assignment of JT Toppin a lot of the night. And while JT Toppin had 35 points in this one, he probably would have gone for 45 or 50 if Boswell didn't do such a good job defending him that he did. So like he's the guy, he was on this Illinois team last year. He's the guy that really makes him go. Off the bench, Andrei Stojakovic, though, might be one of my favorite players to watch in all of college basketball. He had 23 points, 11 of 16. He just did such a good job of like finding his spots and like taking and making like his kind of shots. He only went, only 0 for 1 from beyond the arc. Like he has the capability too of like when the 3 ball is going, like he can stroke it. mean, he's son of former NBA player Peja Stojakovic, who's like one of like the better shooters ever, or at least, of like recent memory in the NBA. I believe he's a Hall of Famer. So it reminds me a lot of that. Just like, when your dad is one of the best like NBA shooters ever, you're obviously able to stroke it. So, and like coming off the bench too is crazy. 23 points, Grant. He just played 26 minutes. So gets a lot of run for Illinois. So he was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, and really just like everyone, the whole Eastern block for Illinois, that's their whole thing. They got all these Eastern European dudes that Coach Brad Underwood recruited. And, it works well. All Zimane Visic had 11 points in this one. David Mirakovic had 11 points this one, and then Keaton Wagler also had 11 points. So Illinois, like I said, Boswell and Stojakovic were like their mainstays scoring the ball, but like they, for the most part, really got contributions from everyone. So there was that was a really good win for them. Being a home game definitely kind of had the edge there. Like, I don't know, this is one of these we probably won't, but who knows? Like maybe we see these teams play in the tournament in like a Elite Eight or a Sweet 16 game, because this one was a lot of fun. Going back to Texas Tech, like I said, JT Toppin, 35 points. Like he was like single-handedly just willing Texas Tech back in this game. As you see, I don't have the thing shown on the screen here. But Illinois was up 13 at the half. Like Texas Tech, like was kind of out of it a little bit. Like I wasn't super locked in on this one because like I was watching, Louisville and Kentucky at the same time. Both these games are going on simultaneously. So I was kind of like, I was hoping that, because Kentucky Louisville was kind of same thing where like Louisville was up big, and I was like, okay, maybe I can focus a little bit more on Illinois Texas Tech. And that's when Kentucky went on the run to make it close. So then same thing kind of here. I go back, I'm like, oh wait, Texas Tech, they made it a game this late here. And yeah, literally just because of JT Toppin, 35 points. LaJuan Watts also had a really good game, 21 points on 8 of 10 shooting, knocked down both his 3-point attempts, as well as had 4 rebounds and two assists. So he had a really good game. And then, yeah, just kind of like what I'm saying, though, after that, like their next leading scorer is Christian Anderson with 8 points on 4 of 12 shooting, including 0 of 6 from beyond the arc. So just like he's one of Texas Tech's like main guys. Like he had 34 points in their opener, and he really just not have a good game because Illinois' defense was really good in this one. And this is what I was mentioning. So both teams had the same amount of turnovers. Both had 13 turnovers, but Illinois did such a good job of like forcing turnovers and getting out on the run and getting to the rim, getting baskets, because they had 29 points off turnovers, Texas Tech 16. I mean, in a game where you win by 4, 13 points off of turnovers advantage. That's a huge advantage for the Illini in that one. Just kind of looking at the other team stats here that were really notable. Everything else, like this is another one. Like neither team really shot the ball super well, especially from beyond the arc. I mean, like 53% for Texas Tech, 49% for Illinois. Pretty similar. Rebounding wise, Illinois slightly won the rebounding battle, and they had 4 more offensive rebounds. So that too, like, plays a big difference. Like Illinois and like these Eastern European guys, I think that's just kind of how they play. They do a good job doing a lot of the little things, like being very scrappy, like, getting second chance points off rebounds, forcing turnovers. It was a very impressive win for me. So shout out Illinois for that one. Just kind of looking here, some other notable results just to go through. Tuesday, like I said, was a great slate. I mean, you had cool games like Duke played at Army. Granted, it kind of turned into a bit of a Coach K love fest. And trust me, I love Coach K, but like, I kind of thought the whole point of like playing at Army on Veterans Day was about veterans, which I guess Coach K, he did go to Army. So thank you for your service. But yeah, that was, even for me, that was a lot. But yeah, like, so we had cool games like that. Wake Forest, Michigan, that predated was on before that Texas Tech Illinois game. People were kind of like, oh, that one probably won't be, a super notable game just because of all the other ones that were on. And that one went to overtime. Like that was a really good game. Michigan got an 85-84 win in this one. And that was like one of those where, Michigan is a team that a lot of people are really high on, think that like they should be competing for the Big Ten. I don't know. After this game, I kind of think, Illinois is probably going to be the one to give Purdue the toughest test. Granted, it is just one game. But Michigan, like they have 3 really good bigs. Like Ade Mara had a really good game, 18 points this one with 13 rebounds. But then as well as Morris Johnson and Yaxel Lendenborg, who I've been talking a lot about. But I don't know. I guess it's a little bit because of last year, like they had the success with Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, where like they like to go with these really big lineups. But I think like Yaxel Lendenberg is like playing the 3 for them. He should not be playing the shooting. Like he's best at like a power forward, like center position. So it's almost like they're going like too big, kind of relying on that. Where then, like Yaxel's like out here like shooting a bunch of threes rather than getting the right. Like he shot 1-7 from beyond the arc, only 4 of 12 and like 4 at 12. Like that's just not a good. I feel like that's just really not using him what he's best at. Elliot Cadeau, the guard, like did have a good game for them. Transfer from UNC, 17 points on 4 or 9, shooting 2-5 from beyond the arc, had 8 rebounds, 7 assists. So that's like that veteran leadership that you like to see. He had a really good game. On the Wake Forest side, Miles Coleman had 13 off the bench, but he had this huge poster early. Definitely check that one out if you have not. Makai Mason was their leader with 16 points. I don't know, Wake Forest really gave them a game. And I want to say like last year, I feel like they won this game. They like had it on the court. They do like some sort of like Wolverine Deacon Classic. Granted, it might have just been like these 2 years, or like last year was in Greensboro. This year it was in Little Caesars Arena. So that one was a lot of fun. Like I said, really shout out to Wake Forest for giving Michigan like a tough test. Like I said, this is one that I didn't really go too deep on some of my previews just because I was like, oh, Michigan's like the better team. Like it's fun to see 2 power schools going at it, but Michigan's the better team. They should win easily. Another one similar, Florida State falls to Florida, but like we're winning at points this game. Florida wins 78-76 against their in-state rivals at home. Robert McRae has been a lot of fun to watch for Florida State. He had 29 points in this one and 4 assists, but like he's also a really good distributor. Their opening game, he had 17 assists. So he's definitely a guy to watch for Florida State this year. Other than that, Kobe McGee had 14 points for them and 9 rebounds. And Florida, it's honestly just like a similar thing to Michigan, where I think they're trying to go too big. Like they're going with Condon, Thomas Hahn, Robin, Chinulu. Like that's like 3 guys who should be playing like the 4 or the 5. Like having all 3 of them on the court. And they did do a better job, I would say, than Michigan of kind of like rotating where they'd only have 2 of them on the court at the same time. Hall was the leader with 20 points and 13 boards, so really good game for him. Chinula had 10 and 16. So both those guys really good at like crashing the glass. Really just the thing for Florida this year. Last year, they were so reliant on their guards in, Walter Clayton and Elijah Martin. And losing both those guys, so while, Condon, Haw, and Chinula are all coming back, really what it was for Florida last year was their guards played a big difference. That's why they went deep. And Boogie Flan had a decent game this one, 18 points on 5 of 11 shooting. 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Really for me, like Xavier Lee's been kind of disappointing. And granted, this is a step up for him. Like he was playing at Princeton. He was one of the better, probably the best player in the Ivy League last year. So this definitely is a step up going from the SEC to the Ivy League. But it's definitely going to take some time. But yeah, right now he just doesn't look super comfortable. He only had 9 points on 2 of 13 shooting. Granted, he did have like 6 assists, 7 rebounds. I don't know. He's just like one of those guys. Like he's better like getting to the rim. And I feel like it's going to be tougher to do that here in the SEC. So I don't know. Florida, trust me, Florida's still going to be a very good team this year. But I think a lot of the preseason expectation of them was like that they're going to be a national title contender. And so far, just like 1 with the Arizona game and then 2 even here once again with Florida State, like it just really does not look like that is going to be the case. Like I said, I still think they'll be one of the top teams in the SEC. And I don't think the SEC is going to be as good as last year. I mean, 14 teams in the tournament's just nuts. But yeah, I don't know. It's probably going to be a bit of a down year for Florida, I would say, based off of what I've seen so far. And then the other kind of last big game on Wednesday or Tuesday, my apologies. And that's the thing. Like they did such a good job here. Like all 3 of SEC Network, ESPN, and FS1 had like banger double headers for a Tuesday in November, like things you love to see. Even like CBS Sports, like I said, that Duke Army game, and then like Delaware was leading BYU at halftime, which is kind of crazy. So that one, like under the radar, even kind of ended up being a good game. But I got to shout out Gonzaga once again, similar to their game against Oklahoma. They just dominate against a power conference team, taking down Creighton 90-63. Like this was a close game and a half. It was a 6-point game at halftime. In the second half, Gonzaga just dominated. It was all Graham Ike once again. He's, like I said, if you don't watch Gonzaga, they play a little late, but he's been there a couple of years. He's like their go-to guy. 20 points, 10 rebounds in this one, just like 8 of 10 shooting, got whatever he wanted, was just dominant on the boards. He even, 4 of 4 from beyond the arcs. Like he's a 3-level scorer, can score all over. Been a lot of fun to watch him. Braden Huff also had a really good game, 14 points, 2 rebounds, didn't shoot the ball as well, but having him as kind of like a second option. Then Adam Miller with 11 points as well. Tyon Grant Foster is kind of the guy I talk about a lot. He only had 5, so not a super great game from him. He's still kind of getting into it. And then Mario St. Supri had a really good game offense too. I got to shout him out. 13 points on 5 of 6 shooting, knocked down both his threes with 4 rebounds, 2 assists. So very good game from Gonzaga. I don't know, Gonzaga, man, Gonzaga is always good, let's be honest. Like, it's them and St. Mary's that just kind of run the WCC, and it's going to be interesting to kind of see what happens after, Gonzaga then goes to the Pac-12 next year. I mean, that league's going to be a very good basketball league. I'm very excited for that. I mean, just with like Utah State, Colorado State, Boise State's been really good recently. There's some very good basketball programs in that Pac-12. I'm hoping, like, I would love to see St. Mary's join that as well, go with Gonzaga. Granted, I know they're not as big of a brand, probably aren't going to get like a full share like Gonzaga's getting. Obviously I don't want to see the Mountain West go away, but I don't know. I'd love to see like a UNLV or a Nevada, like some of these schools there's really good basketball programs out west, and this Pac-12 is already loaded. I think it could get even deeper. I mean, if somehow by the grace of God they got Memphis, I don't think it's going to happen, but that would be super cool too. But yeah, so shout out Gonzaga. They, once again, are just kind of running everyone out of the gym. Like, they are kind of in a league of their own, despite playing in a mid-major league. They're really a power conference team. On the Creighton side, it was a tough night for them. Owen Freeman, you could tell, like, he's still coming back from that injury. Do not look good. He's only scored 2 points. Only played 15 minutes. Jackson McAndrews is like their go-to guy. He, same thing, only had 6 points on 2 of 8 shooting. Nick Graves and Blake Harper were their leading scorers with 12 each. Same thing. Nick Graves took 13 shots. Blake Harper 4 or 6, not bad. But I hate to admit it. I'm sorry, my computer's not plugged in. 1 sec here. There we go. I hate to admit it, but it's been a very rocky start for the Big East. I wouldn't be surprised if we're looking at, once again, like another just 3-bid year for the Big East. I think it's UConn, St. John's, and then kind of everyone else. Granted, like I said, this Gonzaga team is very good, but I don't know. The Creighton does really seem to have a lot of holes. Marquette 100% is not on the same level as they've been the last couple of years. We'll get to it in a sec, but like Xavier's not looking good. Georgetown did have a good win. So Georgetown might be getting better. DePaul lost to Buffalo. I was going to kind of highlight some of these upsets here quick as well. Like, that's the thing. I was saying at the beginning of the show, like, well, it's kind of a slower week in college basketball. Like, next week, like the Feast Week preview next week will be a pretty good episode, pretty long episode. I'll have a lot to talk about then. Here, I was kind of like, not as much this week. Just a couple like notable games, to one of them being right now. But there's always just crazy stuff happening. Like I said, let me look through it here. Or was that? Oh no, that was Monday. So Monday, Xavier lost to Santa Clara. I got to talk about that one. Like, they were only 2.5-point favorites going into it, and the Musketeers have not looked great to start. And yeah, Santa Clara was just hands down the better team. I mean, talk about the WCC. Maybe the WCC is a 3-bid league this year. I mean, like, San Francisco will be battling Santa Clara could be good. So got to shout that one out. And then, yeah, going back to Tuesday, what was the other? There was a big upset on Tuesday. I mean, it's a lot of more just kind of like mid-majors getting some impressive wins. Trying to look here, which ones were there? What was it? I can't remember again. Oh, and shout out to not the game we're looking for. Shout out to Cincinnati. They beat Dayton. I mean, that's a good win for them. 70-64 behind 20 points from Darian Thomas. Oh yeah, Alabama State like knocks off UAB, so that's a pretty big upset. It was Boston College. That's the one I want to talk about. Yeah, first DePaul losing to Buffalo. So another like bad Big East loss. And like that's kind of been typical of DePaul. They were down 36-18 at halftime. And DePaul's looked better this year, but to just have that happen was pretty rough. Did not see that one coming. Other ones. Oh, shout out Ole Miss. Ole Miss over Memphis. Like, so that was a pretty good game as well. I mean, that's also like a sneaky, like little rivalry. I don't think people realize how close those two schools are together. I sure like didn't. Where was it? Oh, I guess shout out Mikey Williams, went for 30 points in Sac State's loss to UC Santa Barbara. What was the other one? Oh, Boston College. Where is that? Yeah, Boston College loses at home to Central Connecticut, 60-59. Other than Boston College, no ACC or no, that's not right. It was like going into that night, no other ACC team had lost. I want to say it's like, no, it might be altogether. I forget. I saw the stats somewhere. I need to like bookmark these, but yeah, Boston College is going to be the basement of the Big E or of the ACC. They're already 1-2 on the year. Granted, they did play at FAU, who's not going to be like a top tier American team, but solid program. So yeah, they lose that, and then losing at home to Central Connecticut, that was just really rough. And then Wednesday's where this one I want to touch on. It's probably not a team that a lot of people have eyes on. I want to shout out, Ryan Hammer. He's talked about this a lot on his podcast. I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably know who Ryan Hammer is. College basketball content creator, like big on TikTok, but now also like Twitter, has his own podcast as well. He's been talking a lot about this UT Martin team, who's now 3-0 after winning at Bradley, who's one of the favorites in the Missouri Valley, one of the better mid-major leagues, 70-68. And the thing with this UT Martin team is they just shoot the lights out from beyond the arc. It was funny. My sister goes to Bradley. My dad was at this game with her on Wednesday, and he was giving his analysis to me. I tweeted out UT Martin's head coach Jeremy Schulman. He's liking my tweets out here, about being damn, this UT Martin team can really shoot. They shot 11 of 24 from three, which is nothing crazy. But for reference, Bradley shot 3 of 20. That's the big difference in this game. It's a bunch of guys that they came over from this. I want to say it's Eastern Florida or not North Florida, but it's some D2 school where they've all been playing together. It's the same thing. It's a lot of similar to Illinois, European guys Andrina Burkinovic had 20 points in this one, 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. Matas Dinasis, 20 points, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. They even on their website have a pronunciation guide. Philip Petrotsky with 10 points, 2 of 3 from beyond. It's all just guys who can shoot. They run this style where it's just very 3-point centric. They've been running it at the D2 level and now running it here at UT Martin. And Skyhawks, honestly, I don't think they're picked to finish very high in the OVC, but they're going to be a team to watch just because of this insane style that they play. So wanted to shout them out for that here on Wednesday. Just kind of looking at here any other notable games. Like I said, Wednesday definitely was a bit of a slower day. Tuesday was the big day this week, which usually is kind of how it is. It's kind of why I moved this show to Thursdays. Vatech 94-59 win over St. Joe's. That was one I kind of talked about a little bit earlier. Mizzou, Minnesota was probably the biggest game of the night, and that one was close to halftime too. But Mizzou all over in the second half, 83-60, outscoring Minnesota 51-30 in the second half. Leaders for the Tigers were Mark Mitchell, who was on Duke a couple years ago. Now second year now, I believe, at Mizzou. He had 18 points in this one, as well as 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Sebastian Mack had 14 points. Jacob Cruz and Jaden Stone also with 14 and 13 off the bench for Mizzou, respectively. On the Minnesota side, they're led by Cade Tyson. He had 17 points this game, 6-12 shooting, 0-4 from beyond the arc. So not a super great game for him, but yeah, that was kind of the notable ones from Wednesday. So now let's get into move forward kind of to this weekend. I would say maybe not as big of a slate as this past weekend, but just kind of some of the games to watch here. Tomorrow night, there's another good doubleheader on ESPN2. First at 9 Eastern, Michigan and TCU go head-to-head. So I kind of talked about Michigan a little bit earlier. And then this TCU team really hasn't played anyone yet, so I haven't watched a ton of them. But on Haslametrics here, this one's projected to be like a 1-point game, like a tie game. So that one should be pretty good. Would definitely tune into that one. It is also at TCU. So we'll see. I mean, shout out to Michigan for scheduling 2 power conference games here in the same week, especially, one of them being a road game. The other one, neutral site, but I'm not counting that as neutral site. Michigan is favored by 7.5. There is spreads out for that now. TCU's leaders, David Punch, averaging 14 points per game. Like I said, they're 2-1 yet. That's what I'm remembering. TCU lost to New Orleans on opening night, but now is back with wins against St. Francis and Lamar in their last 2. That seems kind of weird that's projected to be a close game. Might have to check out the betting odds on that one. And then after that, on ESPN2, Gonzaga, Arizona State at 10 Eastern time. I want to say that one's a neutral site game. It's not in Tempe. Oh no, it is. It is at Arizona State. I thought that was one of those Hall of Fame Phoenix games, but it is not. So Gonzaga, what's the line in that one? They are an 11.5-point favorite. Arizona State, same thing. Really haven't played anyone yet. 2 wins over Southern Utah and Utah Tech. So this will kind of be their first test which will be a good test too. They're playing the Maui Invitational at the end of the month. Forgot about that. Like I said, we'll talk about that more next week. The leader for the Sun Devils is more. Oh yeah, I've seen this guy. More Masop Diop. Yeah, him and Graham Ike going at it. It'll be a lot of fun. He's averaging 16 points per game. So yeah, they got some good bigs on Arizona State. Like I said, just how dominant Gonzaga's looked so far. I have a hard time picking against the Bulldogs, but I don't know. That could be a good game. I also like that it's at Arizona State. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of playing games on campus. I gotta think this is probably some sort of like home and home then. Other notable ones: DePaul and Northwestern at 8:30 Eastern time on True TV. Northwestern projected to win that one. Wildcats look solid so far. I haven't watched them too closely. They've played a bunch of nobodies as well. Yeah, no, okay, I'm sorry. The Hall of Fame series in Los Angeles, which is on Peacock. Also, there's a lot of good games on Peacock. If you don't have Peacock this weekend, good weekend to get a free trial. First, it's Illinois State at USC at 7:30 Eastern, which USC is projected to win by 14. I mean, it makes sense. Playing Illinois State should be one of the better Missouri Valley teams, but USC is going to be a solid Big Ten team. Like, that's just two different leagues of their own. And then UCLA, Arizona is the good one. Ranked matchup at 10 Eastern on Peacock. I'm excited to watch that one. Both teams 3-0. Obviously, Arizona had that big win against Florida already. UCLA, on the other hand, like I said, they haven't really played anyone. It's been Eastern Washington, who kind of gave them a close game the first night, and then Pepperdine and West Georgia. On the UCLA side, they're led by Tyler Beddoe. He was on that team last year. So, like, watching him and Koa Pete go at it should be really – or no, I'm sorry. Xavier Booker is kind of the big, like, forward for UCLA. Watching him and Koa Pete and, like, Tobey Awaka, too, for Arizona go at it should be a lot of fun. So, for a Friday, a lot of pretty good games. Xavier, Iowa's also on FS1. That game's at Iowa. And like I said, Xavier just lost to Santa Clara this week. They have not looked good so far. So, definitely like Iowa in that one. Definitely, if you were a fan of Drake and Bennett Sturts last year, now although those guys are at Iowa, so they got a pretty solid squad, been playing together for a while. So those are kind of the notable ones Friday. On Saturday, like I said, another couple good Peacock games. We got Clemson, Georgetown at noon Eastern on Peacock, and then Marquette, Maryland at 2 Eastern. That game's at Marquette too, I believe. Yeah, might have to try to go to that one. Or no, never mind. I got stuff going on Saturday, but if I didn't, that'd be a good watch. Granted, those two teams, Georgetown, Maryland, kind of connected. I didn't see Georgetown winning that game last weekend, but Malik Mack had a really good game for them. Maryland, they, this is one you don't want to drop. You don't want to drop another one in a row. Kind of looking at it here. Well, first let's focus more on Georgetown, Clemson. No line out for this one, but the projections have Clemson winning it by 7, as well as ESPN's BPI thinks Clemson wins. Ace Buckner is the leader for Clemson. Like I said, they haven't really played anyone yet. Wins over New Hampshire, Gardner Webb, Morehead State. So this is their first real test of the year. And then on the Georgetown side, like I said, kind of Malik Mack, KJ Lewis, their go-to guards. Both had really good games against Maryland. And like I said, that one is at Clemson, I believe, or at Georgetown. Yeah, in the Capital One Arena. So granted, that's not really a home court advantage. That's the only problem with some of these Big East arenas. None of them play on campus, and when you've been bad for as long as you have, like Georgetown, that place doesn't really fill up anymore. It's not like the Garden or like Villanova draws pretty well. Like UConn plays on campus for the most part, but like UConn, when they play at like the XL Center, I believe in Hartford, like that draws pretty well. So yeah, that's not really the case for Georgetown. And then kind of looking here at this Marquette Maryland game, if I can find the preview here on my phone. A lot of games Saturday, so lots of scroll through here. Let me know down in the comments, what games you guys are gonna be watching. After these two, then we'll get to the really big one. Oh, alrighty here. Sorry, bear with me. All right, so yeah, that game at Marquette at the Pfizer Forum. Chase Ross, the leader for the Golden Eagles. Like I said, he was kind of all they had in their game against Indiana, but Marquette's also already played a bunch of games. They're 3-1 already on the year. That's gonna be their 5th game of the season already in 2 minutes. Pretty impressive stuff. Maryland, they're led by Pharrell Payne. Like I said, they just did not shoot the ball well at all or look very good at all against Georgetown. I mean, to have a team like Georgetown come into your place and beat you by 10, where they never trailed in that game. Just like really was not not very impressed with Maryland at all. Diggy Coit's another guy. He's been like he used to be at Kansas at NIU. If it was last year or 2 years ago, so he's kind of been all over the place. He had 10 points off the bench. Like they need some guys like that to step up, try to find some other guys around Payne to kind of contribute. But then the big one on Saturday, 7 Eastern time on Fox. Like I said, I love that Fox is going towards these like basketball games on Saturday nights. This one's at TD Garden in Boston. We got the number 3 UConn Huskies, the number 7 BYU Cougars. AJ DeBansta against Solo Ball and, Terrace Reed, Alex Caravan. You got Richie Saunders on the BYU side. Like, these are 2 teams are very good teams. Both have looked good so far. UConn, granted, they haven't really played anyone, but you know who UConn is. Like I said, it's the same 3 guys that have won national championships against this BYU squad that's really up and coming here. They got the high-level recruits. Like I said, BYU struggle against Delaware. That might be a bit of a look ahead of like, hey, we got this big game on Saturday. We have a team that we're hosting a team that just lost to a D2 school in their previous game. Like, weren't super concerned with it. So I'm trying to see, is there a line out on that one? So that's the only thing with college basketball that annoys me. Like, they don't do lines more than like a day or 2 in advance. It's not like football. And, football, they got the lines out for the next week by like Monday. I think they might even have them on like Sunday sometimes. So no line. The projections have UConn winning that one in a 2-point game. So that's going to be a close one. It's definitely one. Like Saturday night, I'm trying to think. Well, there is, what is it? Texas, Georgia. Is it Texas, Georgia, or Alabama, Oklahoma? One of those 2 is the Saturday night game. But if you have like 2 screens, or like, say you're out at the bar, definitely be tuned into BYU UConn. This is gonna be one of the better early season matchups until, I guess, like next week when we get all the feast week and stuff like that. Or I guess that's like really in 2 weeks, but I'll preview all those next week. I would say, like I said, just it's hard because UConn hasn't really played anyone yet, but you just know how good they are. And this one being in Boston too, like it's going to be probably a more UConn crowd. However, I got a shout out. I got a lot of BYU followers. Shout out, my guy Jack Carpenter said I'm the face of Fubo TV. And then, Carter Baum, my guy over at CarterCast, and then Church Ball hosts the BYU podcast. So because of that, got a lot of BYU followers. So I know a couple of them are going to be at that game. So who knows? Maybe we'll be a bit of a BYU crowd, but I don't know. That's one of those. I'm probably just going to go with UConn just of it being closer, and just I feel a little bit more confident what you're getting with UConn. Other notable ones: Nebraska and Oklahoma. Oklahoma didn't look great in their game against Gonzaga last week. That one's at 7 Eastern on Big Ten Network. Renick Mass still at Nebraska, been playing really well. Good mid-major game. Grand Canyon, St. Louis, 7 Eastern on ESPN Plus. That should be a good one. Bradley, who I just mentioned, lost sadly to UT Martin, but they play San Francisco, 10 Eastern on ESPN Plus. That's another good mid-major one. Kind of looking here to see if there's any other ones I'm missing. I think those are kind of it. Nevada and Santa Clara could be a good one. Nevada played a good game against SIU the other night. Santa Clara, like I said, beat Xavier. So that one's projected to be a close one. That's another ESPN Plus game. Yeah, like I said, I'm seeing a lot of Peacocks on here, so definitely tune into Peacock. Like Syracuse Drexel's a Peacock game. Penn State LaSalle's a Peacock game. Plus, I mentioned that there's that doubleheader. I want to say there's also like a couple games on True TV. I really like all these different networks getting in the mix with college basketball. I mean, I guess that's been the one kind of good thing about like the Turner networks who's in the NBA is they're now kind of leaning a little bit more into college basketball. So William Mary St. John's on True TV, and I want to say like Arizona or something. That might be Friday night. No, Arizona plays Friday night. There's one other game on True TV. I can't remember what it is, but I know there's multiple. And then Sunday, just quickly here to wrap up Sunday too, we got some good games. Houston and Auburn at 3 Eastern on ESPN Plus. I want to say, I don't think that's at Auburn. I want to say it's a neutral site game because it was last year. So that one should be pretty good. Houston, I mean, I've talked all about those guys. JoJo Tugler. I'm sorry, not JoJo Tugler. He's not there anymore. No, he is. What am I yapping about? Milo Zuzan. And, they got the solid guards. They got bigs. Houston, like I said, they're my pick. They're the best team in the country. Granted, this is their first real test I believe, dude, I hate the ESPN app sometimes. It's really annoying how much it like bugs out with all these college basketball games. Come on. Let me get to Sunday. There we go. Yeah, Battlegrounds 2K25. This one, so it is. They did this last year too. It's in Birmingham, so it's like kind of it is a neutral site, but it's close to Alabama. Last year they played at like the Toyota Center. So yeah, on the Auburn side, you got Emmanuel Sharp. You got why can I not pull it up? Emmanuel Sharp, Jojo Tugler, Miles Uzan, those three guys. On the Auburn side, they're led by Keyshawn Hall, who's been like shooting the ball really well. But I don't know. I just don't think like Auburn's taking a big step back after last year. They obviously won this game last year, but I just don't think they're the same level as Houston. Houston projected to win this one by 6. I would have to agree with that. Then after that, we had Memphis and UNLV as well. Granted, Memphis projected to take that one. They did lose their last game to Ole Miss, UNLV's kind of struggled. They did lose that UT Martin team. I want to say they've lost one other game as well, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, I would like Memphis in that one as well. And then ESPN Sunday night too. They're doing another one. Florida and Miami. Florida's projected to win, but that should be a good game. I mean, they got Mackenzie Mbako, so like that'll be fun to watch him go against the bigs. He's been at Indiana the past couple of years, really solid big man. Yeah, UNLV's also. Sorry, I'm jumping around here. UNLV also lost to Montana the other night. So yeah, 1-2, not very good. I don't think they have anyone that can stop Doug McDaniel for Memphis. So yeah, I definitely like the Tigers in that one. I don't know. I just like these two teams are pretty good lately. I mean, Loyola Chicago, they might be 1-3 heading into that game as they play Wichita State tonight. They play Colorado 5 Eastern on ESPN Plus on Sunday as well. And then Notre Dame, Ohio State, two teams that really haven't been tested yet. But this is a big game for can they get into the NCAA tournament? Like wins like this are good for your resume. Watching Marcus Burton and Bruce Thornton for Ohio State for Notre Dame, Burton from Notre Dame, Bruce Thornton for Ohio State. That should be a lot of fun to watch. Projections have Ohio State winning that one. That game is in Columbus too. So yeah, so a lot of that'll kind of wrap it up here. I ended up going longer than I thought I was going to. Thought this would be closer to 30 minutes, but just kind of rambling about these different games at the end, went close to 45. So in the comments what games you guys been watching this week, any picks you guys got. Appreciate you guys all for tuning in. Like I said, next Thursday will be the big one. A lot of Feast Week previews, Maui, Players Era, Battle for Atlantis. So, like I said, college basketball slower this week, but college basketball is never slow. There's always something happening. It's always a lot of fun. So make sure you're watching, tuning in. Follow me on Twitter, Shoot to Rock. In case you're not tuning in, I like to tweet out my updates on the games. Subscribe here to the Variety Sports Network on whatever platform you're watching. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, like I said, whatever platform you're on. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next week. Peace.